Well, as protests rage across Iran, we're learning of the deaths of at least 25 during the first 9 days of unrest. You're seeing some of the video that's likely flooding your social media feeds today about this. These protesters on the ground here say they're frustrated. There's soaring inflation there. There's a lot of economic uncertainty in Iran. So let's go live now to CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab reporting from London. So, my friend, President Trump threatened Iran that if protesters were hurt or killed, there would be consequences. That really amplifies our focus on this. What more can you tell us?
Reed, good to be with you. And, well, this is really where context matters. Iran is arguably at its most vulnerable point in decades. The economy is buckling. Public trust is thin. And last year, the regime came out incredibly bruised from that 12-day direct confrontation with Israel when we were last on the ground inside the country. And it's really exposing the limits to Iran's deterrence and confidence, frankly. Now, Donald Trump is leaning into that, publicly backing protesters on the ground inside Iran and reviving his so-called MEGA, Make Iran Great Again framing, casting this as a potentially a regime-changing moment. Now, Tehran's response has, of course, been furious and defensive. Officials have been warning President Trump is crossing a red line, accusing Washington of trying to stoke unrest, and they're threatening retaliation. But the tone also signals real anxiety. We're also seeing something else come to the surface, and that's the name Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's last Shah. Now, there have been reports and images of protesters and chants calling for his return. Now, the reality, though, is he's not widely viewed as a credible or organized political force inside Iran. He doesn't have a real on-the-ground movement there, and many Iranians reject a so-called restoration narrative. But the fact his name is appearing at all is revealing. It shows that protesters are reaching for any symbol that represents a clean break from the Islamic Republic. Reed.
And are we getting any sense that the United States is perhaps getting on board, at least in, as you put it, a symbolic way with the return of that name into the narrative?
Yeah, it's, look, we have to, again, look at what's all starting this. You know, this started as raw economic rage. Inflation across Iran is brutal. The local currency is in free fall. Prices on nearly everything is spiking. And it's not just in Tehran, it's in major cities. And this demonstration, which has gone national across most provinces and is cutting across class lines. And so the Islamic Republic is really looking at all of this, trying to use a playbook that is familiar to them. You know, if you've been watching Iran as long as I have, first they try to smother unrest with force, then they try to throttle the internet or sweep people up in arrests and blame, quote, foreign hands. And then they try to offer just enough relief to divide demonstrators. You know, we saw versions of this after the 2009 Green Movement, the 2019 fuel protests, and the 2022 Masa Amini demonstrations. Crackdowns first, then tactical concessions, but never any real accountability. But this time, it does feel different. And with the threat of President Trump in the background about potentially feeling emboldened about carrying out more strikes in Iran, strikes that could potentially decapitate the leadership inside that country, there's certainly a lot of alarm there. But Iran is very different from Venezuela, it has to be said.
So good to be able to talk to somebody who's been watching this for so long, to put it in such great context. Imtiaz Tyab, thank you so much.